Hello, this is Dorothy Smith, your close to my heart independent consultant, and I wanted to show you this last kit of our catalog that expires December 31st, 2018 this year, and it's called You Got This. And our card kits come with pretty much everything you need to make cards. We come with instructions, most importantly, and it has pictures of what the cards are supposed to look like, a cutting guide, the featured technique that you're going to learn, which is called ombre stamping. So that's cool. It's a new technique, or at least new to me. And you get 12 cards and envelopes, and the cards are pre-scored. You get an embellishment, which is a ribbon with a green stitched edge, and a stamp set, which you can use over and over again, not just for this card. You always need thank you cards, so you can use this for a long time. And the You Got This is a nice little encouragement card. So you get all the paper that you need. You get 2 background and texture papers. That's the printed paper, and it's got a design on both sides, and it's nice and thick. And then you get coordinating cardstock with it. So that's fern and pomegranate and white. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is get arranged here, and I'm going to cut the zip strip off of the 2 background and texture papers. So the zip strip is an extra ½ inch on one side of the paper, the 12 by 12 paper, and it can be used for decorations, for scrapbook layouts, or in this case cards. And so the first thing I always do is take the zip strips off. So when you're making longitudinal cuts, you don't want to cut through your zip strip because then you've wasted it. So I'm going to go and refer to my instructions on how I'm supposed to cut it. And it has all of our layouts. First of all, the little rectangle at the bottom that shows the print of the paper, or the color of the paper you're going to use. It shows the orientation of the paper. So you want to lay your paper down on your cutting implement in the same direction as it shows on the page, on the instructions. So it gives you the dimension that you're going to be cutting. So you're going to be cutting 5 1/4 strips. So we want 2 of those. So we get the one there and then the second one. And then we've got the scrap over at the other end. And then we're going to cut 4 1/4, I believe, or maybe 4 inch. Anyway, it has it on the instructions. So it's even, so it would have to be 4 inches. Get 3 of them on each strip. So that is for card 1. Now card 2, if you notice there's a 2, its paper is going to be cut 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So we're going to orient the paper in the same direction and cut 3 1/4 strips. Now understand, when Close to My Heart does these layouts, they have you cut the paper so you get the most efficient use out of the paper. And then you'll end up with some extra paper at the end that you can use for additional cards or scrapbooking or whatever you'd like. But this is the most efficient use, and you will always be at it. If you cut it correctly, you will always get the appropriate number of pieces to make 12 cards, 6 of each design. So I kind of like the efficient use of the paper, because if I just start cutting, I waste a huge amount of paper. So this allows you to get the most out of not a whole lot of paper. So there's 1A and 2B. So those are that's card 1 and card 2. So there we go. We've got the background and texture parts done. So I'm going to set those to the side in its own little pile. So the next is the fern cardstock. Now the cardstocks just come by 12 by 12, no zip strip or anything extra with it. So we're going to go ahead and cut this size. It's 4 1/4 2 strips of 4 1/4, and then there's going to be some smaller pieces cut from that scrap to the left. And so now we're going to cut 3 pieces that are 4 inches each. So 3 times 4 is 12. So that's going to go over with card 2. And here's the second set of 3 to go with card 2. So that looks like that's going to be the background for the blue, the sapphire blue background and texture paper. So now this goes to card 1, and it's pieces that are 1 by like 2 1/4. And so what I like to do when I'm cutting smaller pieces is you've got up to a 1 1/4 inches over on that left hand side. And so I'm cutting 1 strip of 1 inch and a second strip of 1 inch, and then that's my scrap. And then I'm going to cut the pieces, and I don't know whether these are banners or just what, but they're like 2 1/4 inches each, and we'll get 3 from each strip, and then we'll have 2 scraps left over of the fern paper in addition to the larger piece. So like I said, this is a very efficient use of all the paper, and you'll see, I'll show you at the end how much paper is actually left over. So I'm going to put it over into the plastic bag that everything came out of, because you can get confused. The cut pieces start looking like scrap pieces, and you've just kind of lost, and then you have to remeasure everything. So it's best to put all your scraps over in the plastic bag as you finish with them. So I'm going to cut, this is the pomegranate paper, which is just a beautiful color. These are kind of unusual colors. I mean, I would never pick these colors to go together, but they just go beautifully. And that's one thing that I really like about Close to My Heart, is they really are good. There's my extra scrap going in the scrap bag. Good about putting colors together that I normally wouldn't put together. And they always come out looking, just beautiful. And it makes me feel real proud that I can, create something that has a professional look to it and goes so well. So I'm going to cut 2 more pieces from this strip to go onto card 1. And then the little parts, there's 1/4 inch strips that get cut. So I'm going to go ahead and make the length of the little strips the right length, and put that scrap over, and then just take the larger piece and just start making 1/4 inch cuts. And this is definitely, you want to have as much cardstock or paper against that little lip so that you get a straight cut. And so the more paper that you have against that straight edge, the straighter your cuts are going to be. And so that's why I sometimes cut the smaller edges over to the left-hand side. So we're almost done here. And the next pieces that we're going to cut are the white cardstock. And those are going to be for the sentiments. So we'll do, I'll show you how to do stamping of the sentiments on the white cardstock. And I'll make a second video to show you how to assemble all these cards and how to do the stamping. And I'm especially excited about the ombre stamping, because that looks like, I just did a rock and roll technique, which is a similar idea as the ombre. But the ombre you kind of want the colors to blend together in the middle, just like everything else that's ombre now. So I'm cutting my rectangles for, I don't know whether this is for card, this could be card 1. Yeah, card 1. And then card 2 will get smaller pieces of the white daisy cardstock. So if you I find if I do things in an assembly type manner, you become faster at it. Now that little scrap, you could throw it out, but you could also use it for a little banner stripe on whatever other project you've got going on. So you just have to kind of determine what size scrap do you want to keep and what size scrap do you want to just say, okay, that's enough is enough. But I'm just cutting the pieces they're almost like little squares, but one side is just a little bit longer, so it's actually a rectangle, but it's a little bit hard to tell. So what I find is when I do my cutting, I really kind of need to concentrate on what I'm doing. A lot of times the girls in my clubs, they'll be talking and chatting while they're cutting, and the next thing you know, I hear it, "Oh no, I just cut that all wrong." So when you're cutting, kind of keep the conversation to a minimum. That last strip of white is going to get stamped, and the next thing we're going to do is cut the zip strips. Those zip strips that I showed you, we're going to actually use those on one of the cards. But that last long strip of white will get stamped with that sunflower stamp that comes with the kit. So every scrap, like I said, we use the paper gets used very efficiently. So, and I left a little bit of the dark sapphire blue edge when I cut that off. I didn't pay the kind of attention. I really like my Rail Fiskars cutting implement, and I get more accurate cuts with it than I have had with Fiskars that I've had through the many years that I've been doing scrapbooking. So I really like this one because you get a really straight, strong edge, and you can get a better idea of where to put it, but I wasn't paying attention. So anyway, continue to cut our zip strip here. And it's kind of nice that the zip strip is its own embellishment that we get. It's not even counted as an embellishment, but it's definitely an embellishment that gets used a lot through our different designs. So what I really like, I like my Fiskars, really like that, and I really like my little micro tip scissors. So Close to My Heart sells those scissors, and they are so sharp and do such a fine job of cutting. I mean, they're like the best scissors I've ever had. And we actually have Teflon coated ones, so stuff doesn't stick to them. So those are all my scraps, and if you notice, you could actually make stuff with those scraps that are left. So now you get the schematic of how to put the different pieces together, and so you see A, B's, and C's, and the 1A, 1B, and 1C, and so that shows you where the papers get stacked and layered. And so now we've got a pile of card 1 and a pile of card 2. And the next thing will be just learning how to do the ombre, which I'm real excited about, and me showing you how to do the assembly. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching my video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and visit my blog at dotscrapbooking.com.